Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Club Junkie podcast. Another week is halfway down, or a little more than halfway down, and we're 2 days away from the weekend. So hopefully you got some golf lined up, and it's time to talk some equipment. But before we get into today's episode, I just wanted to let you know this episode brought to you by Titleist and the brand new Pro V1 and Pro V1X golf ball. We all aspire to outperform the player we were yesterday. This takes practice, commitment, and trusting your golf ball will perform the way you need it on every shot type. The Titleist Pro V1 and Pro V1X offer advanced technology and performance that rewards your best swings and helps you shoot lower scores. Both models are exceptionally long, deliver consistent flight, and feature unrivaled control. The Pro V1 is the best combination of distance, spin, and feel in the game and delivers a penetrating ball flight, where the Pro V1X, my ball, flies higher, spins more in the short game, while still giving you low spin on longer shots to maximize your distance. Find out more about Pro V1 and Pro V1X, including which is the best choice for your game, at Titleist.com. So, check out the old Titleist Pro V1, Pro V1X, my ball, the old X. I actually was talking, I can't remember who it was. I was talking to somebody who started messing with the X and actually was like, kind of like the X, or just, or no, it was a guy in the office who went and got fit for some Titleist irons and stuff, and was hitting balls and found that the Pro V1X was giving him a little more height, a little more distance, all that. So he was a Pro V1 guy for a long time, but now looking at the Pro V1X to go in his bag, which is pretty interesting. So, Pro V1X, my ball. So anyway, hopefully everybody's having a good week. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can check out my sweet red hoodie, my Play Fast hoodie. Big shout out to the Salty Golfer. If you don't follow him on Instagram, he's an awesome dude. He was one of the guys who invited me on his Welcome to Puttsville podcast. Super nice guy. Made a really cool polo with kind of the PGA style logo saying "Play Fast." The ice is melting, and shout out to him making it in like double X for these big boys here. So pretty cool. Happy to buy one of these and wear it, and it's been pretty cool. So shout out to him for the cool gear. Hopefully one of these days I can come up with some merch and be able to offer something that's Club Junkie related, because I know there's a bunch of you out there who, you're Club Junkies just like me and would probably rock like a head cover or hat or something like that. So one of these days I will hopefully come up with something. So, but again, if you're having a good, and yes, on YouTube, if you want to watch this on YouTube where I put clubs in front of the screen, you can definitely do that. Just search Golf WRX Radio. I think there's enough Club Junkie episodes out there where you can probably type that in and search it and find it as well. But Golf WRX Radio, and then wherever, if you do go there, please like, subscribe, all that jazz. And if you're following me on Instagram, at Club Junkie Pod, thank you all for the Q&A session today. It was awesome. I love doing Q&A sessions with everybody and talking shafts and stuff like that. And I try to answer, everything I can. I know there's a lot of questions that, asking, like somebody today asked about a shaft for their uncle who's getting older and losing ball speed. Well, we don't have a ton to go on, but, I'm going to try to throw something out there anyway, just to give you something of an answer instead of just brushing it off. But if you follow me there at Club Junkie Pod, I want to thank everybody. We did a big giveaway a few weeks ago, broke 10,000 followers there, which I know is like nothing in the scheme of like golf, social media or anything like that. There's plenty of accounts out there that probably have millions, hundreds of thousands of followers, but I appreciate the 10,000 of you who follow me. That's pretty awesome, and I'm very humbled by that many people who would want to listen to me talk or see what I have to post or anything like that. It's pretty special to me. So thank you all for taking the time out of your schedules, lives. I know they're busy to listen and hang out and chat a little golf and whatever with me. So, but anyway, it's been kind of a busy week, just getting stuff done. I got a super busy next couple of weeks. So by this time next week, next week's podcast that you listen to will be recorded earlier, because at this time right now, well, by now I'm recording this Wednesday night, but Thursday I will be en route to a little new product launch item. So we'll see some new product at the end of next week. I fly out the first, which is Thursday, and then I come back. I think it's Wednesday. So I guess yesterday I would have been out, but when I'm recording this, I'd be already gone. But anyway, I'll be gone second half of the week. Gonna be seeing some Callaway Odyssey stuff. So be taking off doing that for like 3 days, and then the basically following week after that, I'll be going there to another place to see some new stuff, and then beginning of December I will be taking off as well. And there's a good chance the second week of December, I might be somewhere as well. So it's kind of crazy, man. The new kind of the new product stuff is starting to take off. It's gonna be fun to go see some of that stuff, and it's always awesome because I've gone to these things that I haven't gone the past couple of years, and now getting back, partly because of COVID, partly because of other people going, whatever. And to get back into it, it's pretty fun. I mean, you get to go to these product launch events, and I'll admit, I'm a homebody guy. I like being home. I like being with my family. I like being with my wife and daughter. So for me, I'm not a guy who could be out on tour every week. I mean, people are like, oh, working on a tour van like Trotty or whatever would be awesome. Yeah, I couldn't do that. I just can't be on the road like that. I'm not that built that way. But going to these things is pretty cool, and also you get to see a lot of people that I haven't seen in a while. If they're not at the PGA show, I haven't seen them in a while. And if they were at the PGA show, I probably haven't seen them until now. So it's been, 7 months, 7 to 10 months that I haven't seen some of these people. So it'll be pretty exciting to see a bunch of faces and meet some new people as well. And that's kind of the most fun, to go into a lot of these events, is seeing a lot of people, and then also getting, kind of the lowdown, all the details on the new products, and getting to see them, mess with them, hit them. You usually get to play maybe a little bit of golf as well. So it'll be a good time, but busy. And I'll be rocking and rolling on the road, man. So it'll be a wild time. I'll be traveling a little bit. But it's all right. So to get into today's episode, and the funny is I got a bunch of stuff lined up that I need to kind of review as well, and then also need to decide what I'm doing for a podcast when I'm going to record one early for that week, but then the next week I'm out again. So I'll have to either record one early or every time I try to go to one of these things and record a podcast and do it, it's just impossible to do. By the time you get back from dinner and whatever, it's super late. If you're out in, the West Coast or something like that, the time changes, messes with you. So you're just looking to get to bed. So it's really hard to do a podcast out there. And I've always wanted to and meant to, and I never pull it off. So we'll see. I'm going to try to do things a little earlier and have them ready to go for those weeks. But yeah, today, talking about some stuff that I actually hit earlier in the year. Kind of not forgot about it, but just had a bunch of other stuff, and then decided to go hit some more balls with them, take them out and play them, and then talk about them today. So we're going to talk some Tour Edge C and E723 drivers. So they're doing two drivers in their exotics line. And if you're not familiar with the exotics line from Tour Edge, that's the kind of their high-end stuff. They kind of pack a ton of technology, bunch of carbon, titanium. I mean, this is not cheap beginner type clubs, anything like that. This is stuff that's kind of cutting edge, holds up with all the big boys, and it's done pretty well. They do pack a lot of tech, and with these ones here, they pack a lot of adjustability into it. So the C series, the C723, is kind of built a little bit more for the better player, the little lower handicap. When you set this driver down, it's a little more compact. It's got a slightly open face to it when you set it in the neutral position. And then it's also got a bunch of adjustability between an adjustable hosel and a sliding weight out in the back. And then the sliding weight can actually be moved as well. There's a heavyweight and a lightweight, and you can kind of swap them from front to back. So you can take the heavyweight, put it in front, lower spin, take a little, maybe a slight bit of height off the shot, and then you can move the heavyweight back, which I have it here for a little added forgiveness, and then the sliding weight to kind of dial in your flight bias. So a ton of adjustability. Both heads have it, typically, and then the E-Series is kind of the more forgiving driver. So the person looking for more forgiveness, a little higher ball flight, anything like that, the E-Series is kind of built for that. And it is a little bit bigger when you set it down. It's a little bit bigger profile, bigger footprint, and it looks a little more square to maybe just a hair shut when you set it down in the neutral setting there. So two drivers depending on the player, and a lot of options, and you can really dial this thing in. The flight tuning system, as they call it, offers you a ton of options to dial this in for whatever flight bias you either want to fight or you want to help or promote. So both of them are really good drivers, and to be honest, I've hit the C series before. They've been making a similar driver. Well, not similar, but if you look at it, I mean, you can see the crown. It's got two layers of carbon and a black stripe that goes through the middle, and that black stripe is actually part of the titanium frame, and they call it the Ridgeback technology, and it's basically built to they're called 360 Ridgeback. So it used to be just the Ridgeback. They've enhanced it over the years, and now it's the 360 Ridgeback, and it basically adds to the MOI. Builds kind of a frame. They put in these carbon panels to move more weight around. And then this time around also offer the sliding weight. I think the previous one had just the two movable weights that you go front to back on. Now you've got front to back and a sliding weight to change the bias, which pretty darn cool. They also have a titanium diamond face. So on the reverse side of this, and I want to say it's like Diamond 2.0 or 3.0. It's or Diamond Face VFT is this one, and basically behind the face is a bunch of little diamond cuts and designs into the back to kind of help this face flex more, open up that sweet spot, and continue to have really high ball speed. So overall, if you look at kind of all the tech that they have, it's kind of the same as any of the big boys out there. I mean, they use a ton of carbon, they use a ton of titanium, and all the adjustability. They just do things where it holds up with pretty much everybody else, and then they are just a little bit less expensive. I want to say that if you go into, I think the C723, I mean, these are $499 for the C, $449 for the E, and basically, yeah. So I mean, a little cheaper than some of the stuff out there from other bigger manufacturers, but these guys are based in Chicago and have been making the exotic stuff. Has been really, really good for a long time. I know a lot of people remember a lot of the forged irons. They did a really good 723 Pro forged iron this year as well. If you look on there, kind of a shallow player's cavity, really good feel, and slightly bigger blade size, but really good feel. I think their titanium utility iron is probably one of the most underrated performing utility irons out there. It's phenomenal, but they make really good products. They just, they don't have the name that the big boys have, but they don't care. They build their stuff to their standards, and they make pretty nice stuff. So the C series here, which is kind of the one I was kind of most interested in, was the one I've hit the most, but I've hit them both a good amount, mostly on course, if anything, a little bit at the range as well, but mostly on course. And the C723 is a pretty good looking shape. I mean, when you set it down, it's a little bit stretched from front to back. It's got a little bit of kind of a triangular shape to it as it's stretched out, but again, they're kind of promoting a little higher MOI. I know some people look at kind of the black stripe that runs down the middle, and it's not their cup of tea. They like something a little more plain, whatever. I don't mind it, honestly, after even the first version that I hit. I think it's was the C721. Was that one the first time we hit it. It was, you noticed it when you first set it down. After that, you didn't really notice it. And honestly, with the high gloss kind of top, it just kind of blends in with the carbon once you get it out there and you're really focusing more on the ball than you are the club head. I don't mind the look. I know, like I said, some other people will say that it's a little busy. I don't think it's that busy. It's just a black line that runs down the middle. But overall, the shape, I think, is really good. And the C series definitely has just a slight bit of open face to my eye when you set it in kind of just the standard neutral setting. And then it's got an adjustable hosel where you can adjust quite a bit, actually. I want to say each head, so you have, this is a 9-degree head. It can go anywhere from 7 degrees all the way up to 11 degrees. So a wide range of adjustment, and that lie angle will go anywhere from 58 up to 61 degrees. So I mean, depending on what setting you have it in, and they make these heads in 8, 9, and 10.5. So a good amount of options out there, depending on what type of player you are, what type of launch you're looking for, and all that. But for a better players type club with all this adjustability, I will say that they're pretty darn forgiving. The stability on this head is pretty darn good. When you start looking at some of the more player focused drivers out there, you tend to lose a little forgiveness on those. This is actually pretty darn stable. I mean, you can hit it for the most part anywhere on the face, and it stays on line really, really well. I mean, as always, I can hook anything off the planet because my swing will allow me to do that. But the overall stability on this thing, I mean, just slight mishits, things like that. Really, it's a much straighter ball flight than a lot of other player focused drivers. The sound and feel, the sound is a little bit loud. I know they have got like that Ridgeback technology in the sliding weight. It does sound a little bit more muted, a little quieter than the previous model. I think it's a little more, or it's still got that metallic sound. It's just not as loud and not as kind of like echoey in a sense as the previous model, and that back ridging I think really takes care of a lot of that. But it is a little bit louder than say a Stealth or a Paradigm or something like that. Even TSR, I think it's a little bit louder than those three, but it's probably on par with the loudness of say like the Ping or Strixon out there this year. But sound and feel, and the sound's not bad. It's nothing that really turns you off. It's definitely a little more metallic sounding with having so much carbon in the head. I was a little bit shocked that it sounded, kind of had that little tingish to it. But I mean, it's a hot titanium face. So you're going to hear some of that, and there's titanium that runs 360 degrees around it, so you're going to get a little bit of that sound and feel. Feel is actually pretty darn good. The diamond face translates a pretty good responsiveness when you hit it, out on the toe or down on the heel or dead center. You're going to feel a little bit of that. You're going to feel a little bit of that ball compression when you hit it dead center. And then, if you catch it a little low heel or high in the toe, you're going to, hear and sound those differences in those shots. Adjustability is really good on it. I do have to say, like almost every driver, if you add loft, you're going to see the face shut just a little bit. It's with every driver. I think the only driver that I think that when you can add loft to it and not see the face close substantially would be like Stealth Plus or Stealth 2 Plus, Stealth 2. The HD, you're going to see it, I think, shut a little bit, but those two. And I don't think it's not that they're not shutting the face at all. I think it's the way they paint their top line. You just see it just looks more open. When you shut, when the face closes a little bit, it just doesn't look as shut. But this will look a little bit shut. Like I moved it up to 10 just to kind of play because, 9-degree head for me is a little bit low. Now we're playing with the kind of the stock Mitsubishi Tensei AV Blue 65, so kind of a mid-launch, kind of mid-spin shaft, and it did work pretty well in the 9, but I needed just a little bit more loft up there, so moved it up to 10 degrees, and like I said, the face was a touch shut, but it wasn't anything that I was truly turned off by or anything like that. And the nice thing is you have basically a upright and a flat version of 10, so you can move this up, keep the lie angle at 58.5, or you can go the 10 upright and move it to 65 if you need a little help turning it over, want to hit a little bit more of a draw, which is kind of nice that you can get a little bit of fit, keep that thing flat while still adding loft. And a lot of other drivers you're stuck with, it's if you're moving up loft and it goes upright, it's just upright and there's no way around that. It's kind of nice that Tour Edge gives you the option that, hey, you can go up a degree, up a degree and still keep the thing flat, or if you want to go up a degree and make it more upright, you can do that as well. So it's kind of nice they give you that option, and their hosel adapter has quite a few options on there. I want to say, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's 8 options, 8 different settings on that hosel adapter, which is pretty cool. And then with the movable weights. So, but again, sound and feel really solid. And honestly, when you get out on the course, it's a driver that just wants to go straight. It really does. It's not super easy to turn over. It feels like there is, even with, you can tell, like if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see I have the weight kind of slid out all the way to fade. But even in the neutral setting, it basically was a really neutral ball flight. It doesn't want to turn over hard. It wants to go straight. And if you're, somebody who hits a little fade, you're going to see that fade going. The sliding weight there, I moved it all the way to fade. And it kind of promoted a little bit of that straight to slightly fade ball flight, but it doesn't move the ball an absolute ton. I think it's more of just kind of that fine tuning piece where, you get the hosel set up right, you get the correct loft, and then you get the, the sole weights back and forth, you get those set up, and then it's just a matter of moving that little flight bias, however you want it. And it moves it a little bit, but it's not anything where you're going to move it, you're not going to see a 50-yard draw or a 50-yard fade or something like that if you slide that weight over. For me, it was more kind of seeing a ball that went out straight and then either kind of fell a little bit to the right, or, if I left it straight, it would just kind of go straight with a little bit of draw because that's my natural shot shape. But that, having that there, it is kind of nice that you can kind of, dial it in. Distance-wise, it's pretty darn long. It's, going out and playing in the courses, it pretty much puts you in spots that you'd expect to be, or that you are in with other drivers. Now, I haven't hit these on like launch monitors side to side or anything like that next to other drivers, but have played at least 36 holes, definitely with the C, and I think I've played just a little bit less with the E, but I've had them both out together. Distance wise on these two, I mean, I actually hit the E a little bit farther, but the E's a 10.5 head, and this is a 9, and I think that little added loft just kind of helps, for me at least. For other players who need to lower it, in the 9-degree head. But even the 9-degree head on this C, it's still easy to kind of launch. It's easier than I thought to launch. I thought this was going to come out a little bit flatter, a little bit lower. Every time I seem to hit a 9-degree head, I struggle with getting it high enough, and I hit these kind of straight bullets. And while they're still decent drives, they just don't go as far as they could for me. But with this 9, it kind of launched a little bit higher than I thought, and actually, got a little more distance out of it. And then when I cranked it up to 10, I definitely saw, a better performance for me in terms of better launch window, a little straighter ball flight, and, it was just overall kind of a better performing club for me. I kept the heavy weight in the back. I never moved it forward just because that doesn't necessarily fit my game. I don't need to go crazy. I don't need a lower launch or lower spin. I'm in a 9-degree head anyway. So with this one, kept the heavy weight back. And as I said in the first part of this, it's a really forgiving head for what it is. I mean, there were a couple shots just hit low heel, my early extension, the butt goes in and hit it, come up out of it and hit it low on the heel. And those shots actually carried pretty decent. I mean, they stayed in line, much like most of the new drivers these past 2 years. They've really got spin under control, and that shot, which would usually just kind of flare up, fall to the right, and not go anywhere, you still had a flatter ball flight that carried out there a little bit further, and turned out to be a playable, usable shot, and ended up being pretty decent compared to what it could have been a few years ago with those shots. But toe strikes, same thing. Actually held a lot of, definitely held the ball straighter out there. Didn't see as much of a big draw with those toe hits. And overall just, saw a driver that just wanted to go straight. It just didn't want to curve a whole lot. And if you're somebody who's looking to get a driver to really work the ball and, work both sides, and you routinely hit both a draw and a fade or something like that, you might find it a little more difficult to do with this, as compared to some other drivers, some other player drivers, things like that. I think it just has a little bit more stability. That back weight definitely has, adds to that forgiveness and that stability. And then, but you still get a boring ball flight. I thought too, with all the mass in the back, between the sliding weight and the heavier weight and all that we'd see some really kind of spinny shots, and it didn't. I mean, spin-wise, it was really good. I didn't see anything, nothing balloons anymore, and especially for me. I mean, I don't swing it hard enough, and 2, I don't create that much spin, so ballooning for me hasn't been an issue in years. But even so, in some like windy days, hitting into the wind and stuff like that, if something's a little bit spinnier, I can tell, some things will rise a little bit as they get out there, and it's not necessarily balloon, they just kind of rise up into that wind. And with these, you didn't see much of that at all. It stayed pretty much boring, and thing would land at a pretty shallow angle, and you'd see some roll out of it as well. And the ball speed on those mishits seemed pretty darn solid. I feel like shots hit off center still carried pretty well. There weren't anything glaring notices that you said, wow, that came up way short or anything like that. It definitely was the ball speed on that diamond VFT face is pretty good no matter where you strike it. Now, I mean, of course, you hit it way out here high in the toe, you're still going to lose some ball speed, and the same with the low heel. But if you keep it around the little diamond in the center, you're probably going to have a pretty good shot in terms of ball speed and distance. So the C723, again, I like the shape a lot. I think when you set it down, being a little bit open, a little bit more compact, I think it's a great driver. I think it's really underrated. I think there's a lot of people who are going to kind of skip over this thing in terms of when they walk into their shop and see all the drivers on the wall. It's not going to be the first one they grab, which, I understand there's names out there that are bigger and whatever, but this thing is pretty solid. And for the price, I think it's hard to argue that you should probably try it. Now, they don't have as many, custom options and things like that when it comes to shafts. I mean, they do have some, but I mean, for the most part, they have just a couple stock shafts that you can get it with. And then I don't really know how their custom order program is in terms of if you wanted to pay for, something kind of wild and crazy. They don't really list it on the website there that I've come across real easily. But the Tensei Blue, was totally fine. The AV Blue, which is kind of the stock shaft that was in like Callaway and a handful of other guys, so very similar there. But the C Series is a really solid performer. It's a good forgiving kind of player's driver, and definitely something that's worth looking into. And then when you look at the E-Series is definitely larger. When you look at it, it's definitely got a bigger footprint. It's definitely stretched out a little longer from face to toe. But when you look at the soles, very, very similar. It's got the sliding weights in the back, but there is no front weight to move on this thing. So the weight that's in the back is the 1, and you can, again, change it from fade to draw to neutral, anything in between on that little track. But there's no front weight to move it forward. And this one, it just says, MOI plus, maximum forgiveness. And it really is. It is really a really straight driver with all the weight in the back, sliding it around. I felt, again, like, the sliding track didn't do a ton to move the whole ball, whether I had it in neutral or I had it in fade. The ball flight kind of stayed the same. It didn't really do a whole lot. Like I said, maybe the ending line as it fell out of the sky would kind of fall to the right or fall to the left, but it didn't change a ton of ball flight bias. But having all that weight and everything back there definitely produced a much higher ball flight window than the C Series. I think it's noticeable because they set up with the same exact shafts, so hitting them side by side was pretty darn easy. Launch window between, again, this is a 10.5, that and the C Series in a 10. The 10.5 still launched substantially higher. I mean, visibly you could just see it immediately. I mean, you did if you were kind of blindfolded to what was being hit and you just saw the ball flight, you'd know immediately which one was the E. It was definitely higher peak height. And with this one here, when you did hit into the wind, you could see a little bit more of that rise. I mean, I think it's a low spin head, but it had just a little bit more spin to it, and you could see maybe just a hair of rise into the wind that you didn't see with the C Series. Just it stayed a little bit flatter, but really one of the more forgiving drivers that I've hit, shockingly. It would be something that if somebody's looking for that, what's the most forgiving driver out there, I think this is one that you kind of have to put in the pile a little bit. Now when you do set this one up, when you put a shaft in there, neutral position, it does look just it's square to just a hair closed on there. Now you could always buy the upper head and open the face up by lowering the loft on it, but for this one here, I just played it as a straight 10.5 the whole time. And a lot of all the same, technology for the most part is in this same head. So, you get the Diamond VFD face, you get the same ridge back with all the carbon fiber panels on it, the sliding weight track. And, like this one here is like a 20 gram weight. I think this was like a 15 and a 5. Yeah. So they split it up and then you get the full 20 grams in the back on this thing. But all that weight being low and back, and it's really not that crazy low. If you kind of look at the profile of the head, you can see it actually raises up towards like this kind of the center of the club head. So it's all the way back, but it's not crazy low. But so it probably keeps some of that spin off, but a little bit of spin on this one compared to the C Series. But stability is just crazy good. I mean, you can kind of hit this one anywhere on the face, and that ball is going to go pretty much so much straight. Like it's wildly more forgiving than you would think. And I think when you think tour edge, you don't necessarily think ultra forgiving drivers, but I think the E723 really is. I had some swings that were just god awful, one-handed kind of Hideki finish, and you'd hit it either for me mostly on that shot it was going to be I was coming in steep, hit it kind of out high on the toe, and got a ball that really stayed in play much better than I thought. I mean, same thing hitting that low heel. You would think, okay, that ball's kind of just fading off into the right, and it's kind of dead, and you're not going to do much with it. Definitely stayed in play and stayed much straighter. I mean, you just didn't see much curvature of the ball with this guy. It just, when you hit it, it went straight. And no matter where you hit it on the face, you were going to see a fairly straight shot, which was pretty cool. Like I said, I kind of like knew this was a really forgiving driver just from hitting the previous ones, but I think this is definitely a step up from even the 722 that had just a single weight in the back and all that. I think even this from the 722, especially the 721, I think this thing's definitely an upgrade in terms of forgiveness. And now you're gonna, like I said, you're gonna see a higher ball flight. You're probably gonna see a little more spin, especially even if you hit them on a launch monitor. But but the actual performance, I mean, if you're just looking for, I want to hit the fairway no matter what, this is going to offer a lot of possibility for that, and it's going to let you get away with some really, really poor swings. And again, much like the C, good ball speed on mishits. When you get out towards the toe, down over the heel, it still seems to carry a good amount of ball speed. And those shots there still carry good distance. I think the C goes a little further only because I think that head's lower spinning. So if you say like, oh, you hit it, especially the heel shot, you hit it low heel, I felt like the C actually went a little bit farther. This still got up in the air a little higher. And that ball didn't quite carry as far. But toe strikes, I actually think this thing stayed straighter. Distance-wise, they're probably pretty darn similar. The sound and feel on this one, they're pretty similar. I feel like the E is maybe just a hair louder, but not by much. They're pretty much similar. You've still got that metallic sound to it as it leaves the face. And just like the C, the responsiveness is pretty good. I mean, you're going to know audibly and just the vibration through the hands, kind of where you hit it on the club face there. But overall, pretty impressive from the E723 to see some forgiveness that, I think puts it up there with pretty much all the big forgiving drivers that you've hit this year. I think if you take a look at, the Paradigm X's and the Stealth 2 HDs and, the Ping 430, G430 Max and all those things, and you start putting this in there with that same category of drivers, I think you're going to notice this probably goes just as straight. It may not launch as high as maybe the highest launching ones of there, but it gets up pretty good, and it's something if you need a little more height, need a bunch of forgiveness, that the E723 is definitely going to give it to you. So on course, I probably hit between the two. I definitely probably hit more fairways in a sense with the E series, but the C just fit my eye a little better, so I played that one more. Both, though, really, really forgiving drivers. I think that's the other thing is that, these companies are starting to figure out after, all these years that they're able to build forgiveness and, low spin and distance and everything. You don't have to kind of sacrifice one thing for another. You're going to be able to get all of it in a driver. So if you're looking for something maximum forgiveness and, again, you're looking for something maximum forgiveness, the E723 is definitely worth looking at. And honestly, at $449, it's a hell of a price point for a driver that's just packed with carbon, high quality titanium face, ton of adjustability, sliding weight track, all that stuff. It gives you a ton of that stuff for the money. And, nowadays, that's what, at least $100 cheaper than anything out there, if not 200 for some people. So, they've really done a nice job with this thing. And I think, Tour Edge Woods, as much as everybody kind of knew the hybrids and the fairways were really good, I think the drivers are coming along and getting better every variation. So you'll have some good stuff there to hit. But the nice thing is, too, you have a driver for whoever you're looking for. If you're looking for, a little bit lower spinning, something with a ton of adjustability, all that, you have the C series, the C723, and if you're looking for the higher launching ultimate forgiveness, you've got the E723. So you've got a little bit of each, and it's kind of nice to have those options. But I think they did a nice job too with the carbon around it. It looks nice. The finish is really nice on it. It's kind of got that glossy clear coat over all the carbon fiber weaves. So a pretty cool look. And then you see the same thing on the sole with all those carbon fiber panels. So it's not even like, oh, it's a slightly lower price point. We cheaped out and didn't put any, it's just cheap titanium or something like that. Like, no, they did. They use some high quality stuff and adjustability and carbon, and it's everything else that everybody else is using. So pretty cool to see. So that is those two there. If you're looking to get out on the course and looking for something that that adds some forgiveness, look at the Tour Edge, the 723 series, and you can be a C player or an E player, and I think you'll be happy either way, depending either way with whichever one you hit. So if you go to touredge.com, they've got a ton of products. So go under exotics, and then you'll see the drivers there and see all the tech, all the specs on them. I know, the E series basically comes in a 9, 10.5, and a 12. So there's no 8 degree in the E, which you would expect. Same adjustable sleeve though, so that 10.5 will play down to an 8.5 and all the way up to a 12.5. So you could actually get the 12 degree head and turn it to 14 degrees and make it almost a 2-wood, just for ultimate high straight shots, which would be pretty cool. It'd be pretty interesting to hit a 12 wood or the 12 degree, turn it all the way up. Give it like a short shaft and add a little weight to the head, either movable weight or some hot melt or something like that, and see if we could build kind of I don't want to say it would be a mini driver, but something that's be like that short, heavy, just straight ball flight would be kind of cool to do. Yeah, it'd be pretty awesome. I didn't realize it went that high of loft, but yeah, the Tour Exotics. So again, if you're not familiar with them, definitely go check them out and see what see what, all the specs, all that stuff, and it's definitely worth trying. If you're out there hitting some shots and looking for a new driver and all that, definitely check out the boys here, because they've got a nice product. So yeah, but that's pretty much Tour Edge drivers in a nutshell. And I always enjoy hitting the Tour Edge stuff. My brother, my middle brother, actually got fit into I think a 722 head when he went and did his fitting. So he's been playing that. He's been really happy about it. He's kind of one of those masher guys. He hits it hard. I want to say he's got like a, what does he have in there? He's got like a low launch, low spin shaft in there, something like that, and he hits it pretty darn good. So if they can keep him in play, they can keep anyone in play. So he hits it substantially farther than I do. So, but that's those are the Tour Edge drivers. So yeah, next week I'm gonna hopefully. I've got some other stuff. I've got a golf bag to try. I know everybody was kind of excited about golf bag reviews, so I've got another golf bag that I've gotten out a little bit, but I want to take it out a little bit more, and then a couple other pieces here and there. So get into it, and then I'll be traveling around. So hopefully I'll be able to hang out with you guys and post some stuff. I know the first thing that I'm going to is a Callaway thing, and I think the first day I'm there I'll be able to post stuff. So I'll be able to post photos and all that of the new product like immediately, which will be pretty sweet. So awesome there. I got to put together my Callaway bag of stuff. I'm going to be have the triple play irons out there, and then I don't have a Callaway driver at the moment of my Paradigm stuff. I brought it back into the office, and some other guys there were hitting it, so I'm gonna have to bring a different driver there. But maybe I'll bring I have my Rogue ST LS tour head, my 10.5T head, so I'll probably just bring that with me and play that. But yeah, so I'll be traveling around, excited to see some new product. But anyway, you guys hopefully have a great weekend. Play some golf if you can, and as I said before, man, please like, subscribe, wherever you're following the Club Junkie. I would appreciate it, and hopefully have a good one, and we'll talk next week.